I heard the song you just heard several years ago. It was written by Ben Harper, titled My Two Hands. The intoxicating song is filled with rhythm and determination. Part of the beauty and relevance of the piece resides in the simplicity of the lyrics. They include, I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place. With my own two hands, make it a brighter place, a kinder place. I'm going to help the human race with my own two hands. That message is almost as revolutionary as love your neighbor. I do want to make one note here. I reference two hands. However, what I really want to talk about is how a person can make a difference with the part of the body called hands. But if one does not have a hand or hands, it can apply to what one can do even when the appendage is not present. For example, last week, I saw a video of a woman changing her child's diaper with her feet, her toes. She didn't have hands. And yet, she was contributing to the life of her child. As I walked through the airport on Sunday afternoon last week, I noticed a man carrying a magazine with his prosthesis, his arm prosthesis. He did not have a hand, and yet he paid someone to acquire the magazine, maybe smiled when he bought the magazine. My point today is our capacity to make a difference in the world just as we are able. For just over a year now that I've been with you all, I've witnessed the work of countless friends and members of Unitarian Universalists of Clearwater. This congregation is filled with many people, many lovely people, who do so many things within this UU community and in the outer local community. While we've done our share of discourse on how to move forward by way of policies and more, as we've all emerged out of the COVID lockdown era, on what makes for a worshipful environment, on how we pursue our commitment to the 8 principles of Unitarian Universalism, the developmental goals, and more, what strikes me most profoundly are the actions that I've witnessed since coming to participate in collaborative or shared ministry with you. Are you a little uncomfortable with the word ministry? I get it. That lovely word has been absconded by television evangelists. So to be clear, what we are doing when we say ministry is that we are serving others, to commit ourselves to, quote, healing a fractured world and broken lives within it by calling every one of us to the best that is in each of us, beyond nationalism and ethnic prejudice, beyond materialism and greed, beyond the petty and the shallow. We invoke a global loyalty, an ecological ethic, and a deeper mercy. That's what Unitarian Universalist ministry is. So said William F. Schultz, former president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Our intention is to serve and to transform ourselves and society in the direction of more love and more justice. On the first day that I arrived here to work, I pulled out a book of the history of Unitarian Universalists of Clearwater. I read about the early efforts to form this faith community in 1951. Carol Hamilton, who has been working in the archive room, showed me more memorabilia. I've seen photographs and articles of people who have used their hands to organize this place, to install bookcases, to hang lights in this room. I've peered through the bylaws and the board minutes, typed by hands that belong to numerous people through the years, individuals who cared about this community, its history, its legacy, its future. When I arrived to preach in the pulpit for the first time, people were eager to help me to feel comfortable. A glass of water was placed here in this pulpit. Thank you, Soledad, for your kindness. After listening to stories by friends and members, I am aware that numerous hands have written cards, made soup, have made phone calls to those who were ill and at home. Hands, I have witnessed hands have lovingly reached up to put a sheet over someone's exposed shoulder several times when I visited the hospital. Friends and members of UUC care very much about one another, often opening arms to each other in times of heartache, and you have had your times of heartache and to challenge. There have been many moments during joys and concerns when I noticed hands going up to faces to wipe tears away. Hands have assisted those who have had a hard time walking outside and in this room where, due to the results of older age or ailment, it was difficult to walk. Hands helped a couple of people in this past year, a couple of members who at different times felt weak and went down. One in the concrete out here, another person out by the food forest. They're okay, thank goodness, but people reached out to see how they're doing, to ask how they can help. From within this room, I have witnessed hands reaching out to hold babies when they appeared, and hands that clapped or waved. In case you're a newcomer and you wonder what the heck this is, I give congregation members permission to wave. It's the International American Sign Language. My niece has hearing difficulties. She's deaf. And so at home, this is natural when Lily is around. And I don't know, I just walk around. And when we're in a space where we're trying to carve sacred time, we still let people know how wonderful the music is or something that was said. So you'll see these hands go up, and it means clapping. I've seen numerous people doing this. Might we recognize the hands that fly on this piano every week? And the hands, where is she? And the hands that stand up in front of the choir and go like this, and suddenly this room is filled with magic. Thank you, Dr. Susan Robinson. And we have seen hands fly on a flute in this room. We've seen hands turn pages to prepare to sing in this room. Each week, hands have artfully arranged flowers and vases on the table here, or like today, a pine cone and feathers in honor of the indigenous individuals who were in these parts in times past. Each week, hands have come to pick up baskets for the offering. Hands pulled out envelopes to put money and kind contributions in those baskets. I recall one experience many years ago in a different congregation when a child placed a tiny car in a basket, no doubt feeling moved to contribute his wealth. We often say no pledge and no contribution goes without appreciation, and I mean that. Even if it's a beloved toy. Hands have held signs in protests, have quietly walked with others to the graveyard of the African Americans that were buried, and the school now was built over that. We have walked with people in solidarity. We've been advocating for women's rights, for rights to clean water. May we remember the hands of all who have worked hours in that kitchen, preparing and cleaning up after potlucks and other meals, and the many hands that have prepared those potluck meals held after worship, for receptions even, for grieving families and friends who gathered to celebrate the life of a cherished one here in our community. In her poem titled An Observation, poet May Sarton wrote, "Move among the tender with an open hand. Stay sensitive up to the end," she said. Every week there are hands that vacuum this room, mop the floor in the social hall and the kitchen, hands that clean the bathrooms. There are hands that pull weeds, cut branches from trees that hang too low, hands that run a lawnmower. The grounds crew that worked here last week were not hired hands, but hands that helped because the people cared about this campus. I know some of you are like, yeah, get on, get up, go on, we know that. But I wanted to pause to recognize all of the things that have been done here. There are hands that work to create programming for children, hands that come to the heart in a namaste here on a Saturday morning, hands that hug after covenant groups, hands that reach out to say welcome at the open issue discussion time an hour before service, hands that make it possible for people to participate in activities on Zoom, such as spiritual potpourri on Fridays, other hands that reach out and welcome as people arrive here in the lobby on Sunday mornings, hands that hang artwork, and more. I am aware that through the years, hands have painstakingly arranged, donated, and documented books for the Maxwell Library that continues to grow with each passing generation. On numerous occasions, hands from friends and members of this community place food in the food pantry bin out in the lobby so complete strangers have something to eat. Hands recently set up the mitten tree. Hands have reached out to support both stranger and friend in times of need. I think back at the hands, such as those of Jesus in time, that touched women at a time when men weren't supposed to touch the shoulder of a woman or the garment of a woman. I think of the hands of the Buddha, the mudra, the hands that go like this, that connect earth to sky. Nelson Mandela wrote, "It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it." Regardless of whether you've had a minister here or not, a commitment to the hands-on work of UUC will keep it breathing with energy and excitement. Although the doors here have remained open for nearly 72 years, some people come, some stay, others have left. However, the truth of Unitarian Universalists of Clearwater reveals that faith is expressed in deeds as much as it is in words. It involves expressing what our heart is saying in the dance of our hands.